Han wiped the sweat from his brow as he adjusted the oxygen recycler on the exterior of Lunar Base Horizon. The Earth hung in the black sky above him, blue and peaceful. He had always preferred working outside the base. Out here, no one bothered him with small talk or team-building activities. Just Han, the stars, and the steady hiss of his suit's air supply. Han, what's your status on the recycler repair? Director Kim's voice crackled through his helmet comm. Almost done. 20 minutes. More, Han replied, keeping his words few as always. Good. Return to base when finished. There's a staff meeting at 1800 hours. Han grunted in acknowledgement. Another meeting where Kim would talk about efficiency and protocols while Han would sit quietly in the back, counting the minutes until he could return to his work. As he tightened the last bolt on the recycler panel, a flash of light caught his eye. Something bright streaked across the lunar sky, much closer than a normal meteor would pass. Han tracked it with his eyes as it disappeared behind a distant crater ridge about 2 kilometers away. He checked his oxygen levels. Still 4 hours of supply left. The meeting wasn't for another 3 hours. Director Kim didn't need to know about this detour. Han to base, recycler fixed. Going to check another system before returning. Confirmed, Han. Don't be late for the meeting, came the reply. Han moved across the lunar surface in long, practiced bounds. Years on the moon had taught him how to move efficiently in the low gravity. Each jump carried him several meters forward with minimal effort. As he approached the ridge, he slowed his pace. The lunar dust had been disturbed. Something had definitely crashed here, and recently. Beyond the ridge lay a sight Han never expected to see in his lifetime. A spacecraft unlike any human design had carved a shallow trench into the lunar surface. Its metallic skin gleamed with an iridescent quality that shifted colors as Han moved around it. The craft was small, perhaps designed for 1 or 2 occupants, with smooth curves that reminded Han of the manta rays he had seen in ocean documentaries as a child. Han approached cautiously. No radiation warnings appeared on his suit readings. The ship appeared damaged, but not critically so. A section near what Han assumed was the cockpit had been punctured, perhaps by a micrometeoroid or some other weapon. That thought made Han pause. Weapon? Why would he think that? As he moved closer to the damaged section, he saw movement inside. Something was in there, still alive. Han hesitated. Protocol was clear. Any extraterrestrial discovery was to be reported immediately to Earth authorities. The base would be locked down. Teams of scientists and military personnel would arrive. Whoever was in that ship would become a research subject at best, a perceived threat at worst. Something about that thought didn't sit right with Han. He had come to the moon to escape the complications of human interaction. Not because he lacked compassion. He made his decision and moved to the damaged section of the hull. The tier was large enough for him to see inside. There, strapped to what appeared to be a pilot's seat, was a figure. It looked remarkably human. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, but with skin that had the same iridescent quality as the ship's hull. The figure was slumped forward, dark liquid seeping from a wound in its side. Han searched for an entry point. Near the rear of the craft, he found a hatch with symbols etched beside it. Acting on instinct, he pressed his gloved hand against the largest symbol. To his surprise, the hatch slid open silently. The inside of the craft was cramped, but breathable. His suit readings showed an oxygen-nitrogen mix not unlike Earth's atmosphere. Han removed his helmet cautiously and approached the wounded pilot. Up close, the similarities to humans were even more striking. The pilot appeared female, with delicate features and silver-white hair that seemed to shimmer with subtle colors when it caught the light. Her clothing was elaborate, made of materials that seemed to flow like liquid and shimmer like the hull of her ship. Han checked for a pulse, finding it at the base of her neck. Rapid, but present. Her eyes fluttered, open for a moment, revealing irises of deep violet that locked onto Han's face. "Help," she whispered in perfect accented English before losing consciousness again. Han's mind raced. This wasn't just first contact with an alien species. This was a medical emergency. He couldn't leave her here, but bringing her to the base would mean she'd become an immediate test subject. perhaps even be seen as a threat. A flashing light on the ship's control panel caught his attention. Han moved to examine it and found what appeared to be a navigation system. The display showed multiple craft moving toward the moon, large ones, on an intercept course with this smaller ship. Something told Han these weren't friendly vessels, coming to help. He made his decision quickly. Taking a small medical kit from his suit, he applied a pressure bandage to the worst of the alien woman's wounds. Then he carefully unstrapped her from the seat and lifted her in his arms. In the moon's gravity, she weighed very little. Han spotted a small object that had fallen from her clothing, a pendant or medallion with intricate markings. He picked it up and secured it in his suit pocket before exiting the craft with the unconscious alien in his arms. Back at the base, Han knew the main airlocks would all be monitored. But there was another way in. The maintenance access hatch, near the north pole of the base used for emergency repairs. Few knew about it and fewer remembered to monitor its usage. Han moved quickly, carrying his mysterious burden across the lunar landscape. The emergency hatch accepted his code and he stepped inside with the alien woman. The small airlock cycled, and Han entered a narrow maintenance tunnel that ran between the base's outer and inner hulls. He knew exactly where to take her, the unused storage bay in Section 6. The section had been scheduled for expansion, but budget cuts had left it partially built and mostly forgotten. Han had converted a corner of it into a private workshop months ago, where he tinkered with personal projects away from prying eyes. As he laid the alien woman on his makeshift cot, his comm unit buzzed. All personnel. This is Director Kim. Earth Space Command has alerted us to approaching unidentified vessels. All staff report to emergency stations. Repeat, all staff to emergency stations. Han looked down at the unconscious alien woman. Her silver hair spread across his pillow, her breathing shallow but steady. In the artificial light of the storage bay, he noticed a symbol on her elaborate clothing that matched the largest one on her ship, perhaps a family crest or identification. Mark whoever she was in danger. And now, so was Han. His comm buzzed again. Engineer Han, report your location immediately, came Director Kim's voice. Han took a deep breath and replied, On my way to my station, Director, just finishing up outside. As he silenced his comm, the alien woman's eyes fluttered open again, fixing him with that strange violet gaze. They're coming, she whispered. The ones who tried to kill me. Han nodded slowly, realizing he had just made the most important decision of his life. Whatever happened next, there would be no going back. Han looked down at the alien woman lying on his makeshift cot. Her breathing was shallow and the dark liquid, her blood, had soaked through the pressure bandage he had applied. He needed help, but who could he trust? The answer came to him, quickly. Dr. Lee. She worked the night shift in the medical bay and had always been kind to Han when he came in with minor injuries from his maintenance work. More importantly, she asked few questions and seemed to care more about helping people than following rules. Han checked the time. The emergency meeting would keep most of the base staff occupied. He took out his personal tablet and sent a message to Dr. Lee. Medical emergency, Section 6, storage bay. Come alone. Bring supplies for wound treatment. Tell no one. While waiting, Han searched through his tools and found a small scanner he had modified for detecting energy signatures in damaged equipment. He ran it over the alien woman's body. The readings were strange, but showed her heart rate and breathing were becoming weaker. The storage bay door slid open 15 minutes later. Dr. Lee stood there, a medical bag in her hand, her eyes widening as she saw the alien woman. Han, what have you done? She whispered, rushing to the cot. Found her. Crashed ship. 2 kilometers from the North Ridge, Han said, his usual short way of speaking even more clipped with tension. Dr. Lee didn't waste time asking more questions. She opened her medical bag and began examining the alien woman. The wound is deep. Some kind of energy weapon, I think. Not like anything I've seen before. Can you help her? Han asked. Dr. Lee nodded slowly. Her anatomy seems similar to ours, in many ways, I think I can stabilize her, but I'll need more supplies. The alien woman's eyes suddenly opened, those violet irises fixed first on Han, then on Dr. Lee. Where am I? She asked in that same perfect, strangely accented English. Safe, Han replied. For now. I am Dr. Lee, the doctor said gently. You're injured. I'm going to help you. The alien woman tried to sit up but winced in pain. My ship crashed, Han said. Found you inside, brought you here. There are others coming, the alien woman said, her voice growing stronger. They must not find me. Who are you? Dr. Lee asked as she prepared a pain medication. The alien woman touched a hand to the elaborate design on her clothing. I am Nara, daughter of the High Council of the Stellar Commonwealth. What you might call a princess. Han pulled the medallion from his pocket. This yours? Nara's eyes widened. My royal seal. Yes, thank you for saving it. She took it from him with shaking hands. It contains important data, proof of the conspiracy. Conspiracy? Dr. Lee asked, injecting Nara with pain medication. There has been a coup attempt within the Commonwealth. My father, the High Counselor, was targeted. I escaped with evidence of who was behind it. Nara's voice grew softer as the medication took effect. They followed me, shot down my ship. They will say they are here to rescue me, but they are here to kill me and destroy the evidence. Han and Dr. Lee exchanged glances. The approaching ships, Han said. Your people? Not my people, Nara corrected. Traitors. They will tell your leaders they are on a rescue mission. They will seem friendly. They are not. The base-wide communication system crackled to life. Director Kim's voice filled the room. All personnel, the approaching vessels have made contact. They claim to be representatives of an interstellar civilization called the Stellar Commonwealth. They are searching for a damaged craft containing a diplomatic envoy. All staff are to report any unusual sightings. First contact protocols are now in effect. Han silenced the speaker. They're already here, he said. Dr. Lee looked worried. Han, this is beyond us. This is first contact with an alien civilization. We should tell Director Kim. No, Nara said, struggling to sit up again. Your leaders will not understand the danger. The traitors are skilled diplomats. They will convince your people to help them find me. And when they do? She left the sentence unfinished. Han nodded. He understood. He had always been good at reading between the lines, at sensing when something wasn't right. We keep her hidden. For now. Doctor, Lee sighed. I'll need more medical supplies. Her wound is serious. I'll get them, Han said. You stay with her. As Han prepared to leave, the door to the storage bay slid open. Commander Tay, head of security, stood in the doorway. Engineer Han, Tay said, eyes narrowing. Why aren't you at your emergency station? His gaze moved past Han and landed on the cot where Nara lay, with Dr. Lee standing beside her. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Commander Tay stepped inside and closed the door behind him. Who is she? Han tensed, ready to protect Nara if necessary. But before he could move, Dr. Lee spoke. She needs our help, Commander. She's in danger. Commander Tay moved closer to the cot, studying Nara. You're one of them, the aliens who just arrived. Not with them, Nara said weakly. Running from them. She says there's been a coup attempt in their government, Dr. Lee explained. The ones in the ships are assassins, not rescuers. Commander Tay's hand hovered near his sidearm. And we should believe this because... Han stepped forward. I saw her ship, damaged by weapons fire. She was dying. If she wanted to hurt us, why come alone? Why be injured? Commander Tay considered this. After a long moment, he sighed. Director Kim has already welcomed the alien delegation. They're docking now. They've requested permission to search the base, claiming their missing diplomat might have sought shelter here after a navigation accident. Not accident, Nara said. Assassination attempt. We need to move her, Han said. They'll search here eventually. Commander Tay seemed to make a decision. The old maintenance tunnels. They're not on the current base schematics we gave the visitors. We could move her there. Han looked at Commander Tay with new respect. Why help us? Commander Tay's expression hardened. Because I don't like how quickly Director Kim rolled out the welcome mat. These visitors asked too many leading questions about our sensors and if we detected any small craft. They seemed more interested in finding something than in peaceful contact. He paused. And because if she's telling the truth, we could be harboring a fugitive from justice or protecting an innocent from killers. I'd rather wait to find out which before handing her over. Suddenly, an announcement echoed through the base. Attention all personnel. Our visitors will be conducting a search of the facility as part of standard diplomatic procedure. All staff are to continue normal duties and cooperate fully. They're starting the search, Commander Tay said. We need to move now. Han carefully lifted Nara from the cot. She was still weak but conscious. Maintenance tunnel access is down the corridor behind the environmental control panel. Dr. Lee gathered her medical supplies. I'll need to continue treating her. I'll create a diversion, Commander Tay said. Give you time to get her hidden. Then I'll come find you. As they prepared to leave, Nara reached out and grasped Han's arm. Thank you, she said softly. Few would risk helping a stranger from the stars. Han didn't reply, but something changed in his expression. A softening, a resolve. He had never been one for grand gestures or heroics. He had come to the moon to be left alone, not to get involved in alien politics. Yet here he was, risking everything for someone he barely knew, from a world he'd never heard of until today. As they moved toward the door, Han realized with sudden clarity that he had finally found something worth fighting for. The maintenance tunnels were narrow, dimly lit, and ran throughout the lunar base like veins in a body. Han led the way, carrying Nara, whose strength was slowly returning thanks to Dr. Lee's treatment. The tunnels were Han's domain. He knew every junction, every access point, every hiding place. We need a secure location, Han said as they reached a junction. Somewhere to rest and plan. Storage Section 12, Dr. Lee suggested. It's been empty since the supply shipment delays. Access through these tunnels, no need to use main corridors. Han nodded and turned left at the junction. Behind them, they could hear the base-wide announcements as the search began. The alien visitors had been introduced as diplomatic representatives, led by Captain Dak of the Stellar Commonwealth Security Force. They reached Storage Section 12, and Han gently set Nara down on a stack of empty cargo padding. Dr. Lee immediately checked her wound. The bleeding has slowed, she reported, but she needs rest and more treatment. How long until she can move well? Han asked. Dr. Lee frowned. At least a day, maybe 2. The wound was deep. We may not have hours, Han replied. Nara spoke up, her voice stronger than before. My people heal quickly. By tomorrow I should be able to move on my own. The door to the storage section slid open. Everyone tensed, but it was Commander Tay. He closed the door behind him and approached the group. I've spoken with the visitors, he said grimly. Their leader, Captain Dak, asked very specific questions about our sensor logs and maintenance staff. He knows someone found the crashed ship. They're focusing their search on the maintenance sections first. What about Director Kim? Dr. Lee asked. Completely charmed by them, Commander Tay said with disgust. Captain Dak presented some kind of official documentation that convinced Kim these are legitimate diplomatic representatives. They're being given full access to the base. Han's mind was already working on a plan. We need a diversion and a way to contact Nara's people, the loyal ones. My ship's communication system, Nara said. It has a secure channel to the Royal Guard, but we would need to return to the crash site. Impossible, Commander Tay said. They've set up a perimeter around your ship. They're studying it now. Wait, Han said, an idea forming. The base has a long-range communication array. I could modify it to send a message on Nara's frequency. You'd need access to the communications hub, Commander Tay pointed out. It's under constant surveillance. I have a friend there, Han said. June. He works night shift at communications. He'll help. Just then, Han's tablet beeped with an incoming message. It was from June. Han, strange visitors asking about you. Said you might have found something outside the base. What's going on? Han quickly typed a reply. Need your help. Meet me at Maintenance Junction B7. Come alone. Trust no one else. I should return to the medical bay before I'm missed, Dr. Lee said. I'll gather more supplies and return when I can. Commander Tay nodded. I'll coordinate with you through Han's tablet. Keep moving and stay in the maintenance tunnels. After they left, Han helped Nara to her feet. Can you walk a short distance? Yes, she said, wincing slightly but standing steadily. Your doctor's treatment is working well. We need to meet June. He can help us reach the communication array. They moved carefully through the tunnels until they reached Junction B7. Han heard footsteps approaching and tensed, but relaxed when he saw June's familiar face. June stopped short when he spotted Nara. Han, June whispered, eyes wide. Is that? Yes, Han cut him off. We need your help. She's in danger from the visitors. June looked nervously between them. Those aliens are everywhere, asking questions. They showed Director Kim some kind of proof that they're chasing a dangerous criminal. Not criminal, Nara said. I am Princess Nara of the High Council. They are traitors who attempted to overthrow my father. June looked skeptical, but Han placed a hand on his friend's shoulder. I believe her, June. I need your help to send a message from the communication hub. June hesitated only briefly before nodding. The visitors will be touring the hub in 1 hour. Before that, I can get you in through the maintenance access. Thank you, June, Han said, relief in his voice. What's the plan after sending the message? June asked. Keep moving, Han replied simply. Stay hidden until help arrives. A sudden announcement echoed through the tunnels. Attention all personnel. Our visitors have reported dangerous technology may have been brought aboard. Security sweeps will now include all maintenance areas and storage sections. All staff must submit to scanner checks at security checkpoints. They're expanding the search, Han said grimly. Worse, June added. They've brought their own scanning equipment. They say it's to detect dangerous materials. But who knows what it really looks for? Han turned to Nara. Would their scanners detect you specifically? Yes, she said. Commonwealth technology can identify individual genetic signatures. They're hunting me specifically. The three of them froze as they heard footsteps and voices in a connecting tunnel. Someone was approaching their junction. Han quickly pulled Nara and June into a small maintenance alcove, barely large enough for the three of them. They pressed against the wall as a security team passed by, led by one of the alien visitors, a tall figure with the same iridescent skin as Nara, but wearing a military-style uniform. The human engineers access this section frequently, the alien was saying. If someone found the princess, they would likely bring her through these tunnels. When they had passed, June looked at Han with new understanding in his eyes. Princess? They really are trying to kill royalty? Nara nodded. The coup failed to capture my father, but they won't stop until all of the royal family is eliminated. We need to move now, Han said. The communications hub is our best chance. They moved carefully through the tunnels, avoiding the main corridors, where security teams were now patrolling. Twice they had to hide as search parties passed nearby. Each time, the alien visitors used handheld devices that glowed with the same iridescent quality as their skin. Scanner units, Nara whispered as they hid behind a maintenance panel. They're searching for my genetic signature. How close do they need to be to detect you? Han asked. Within 10 meters, she replied. They finally reached the access panel. That would lead them directly into the communications hub. June checked his tablet. The tour group is delayed in Section 5, he reported. We have maybe 15 minutes before they arrive at the hub. Han nodded and began removing the access panel. As he worked, Nara touched his arm gently. Why are you risking so much for me? She asked quietly. You don't know me. This isn't your fight. Han paused, considering the question. He wasn't a man of many words, and he had always preferred machines to people. Yet something about Nara's situation had awakened something in him. A sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. "Right, thing to do," he said simply, returning to his work. The panel came loose and Han helped Nara through the opening. June followed and Han came last, securing the panel behind them. They were in a small maintenance closet adjacent to the communications hub. June peeked out of the closet. "The hub is empty right now. Night shift only has one operator and he's on break for another 5 minutes." Han turned to Nara. "What do you need to send your message?" "Access to your transmission array," she said. "I can modify the frequency to reach the Royal Guard ships. They must be searching for me by now." Han nodded to June, who led them into the hub. The room was circular, with computer terminals arranged around a central column that extended up to the ceiling, the base's main communication array. "There," June pointed to a specific terminal. "That has direct access to the array controls." As Nara moved toward the terminal, an alarm suddenly blared throughout the base. Commander Tay's voice came over the communication system. "Security alert. Unauthorized access detected in the communications hub. All security personnel respond immediately." Han, Nara, and June looked at each other in dismay. The trap had been set, and they had walked right into it. "They knew we would come here," Nara said, her voice tight with fear. The main door to the hub slid open. Captain Dak stood there with 2 security officers, his iridescent face twisted in a cold smile. "Princess Nara," he said, his accented English, perfect like hers. "Your little adventure ends here." Time seemed to freeze as Captain Dak stood in the doorway of the communications hub. His cold smile never reached his eyes, which remained fixed on Nara. "Your father will be disappointed to learn of your tragic accident, Princess," Captain Dak said, stepping forward. The 2 security officers with him were human, looking confused but following orders. "These humans don't know what you really are, do they?" Nara said, her voice steady despite her fear. Han glanced at the control panel behind him. They were so close to sending the message. He needed to buy time. "What's happening?" one of the human security officers asked. Director Kim said this was a diplomatic mission. "It is," Captain Dak assured him smoothly. "This woman is a dangerous criminal who stole state secrets. She must be returned to face justice." "He's lying," June said. "They tried to kill her. They're traitors." Captain Dak's face hardened. "Enough of this. Seize them all." As the security officers moved forward, the door behind them suddenly slid open. Commander Tay stood there, his sidearm drawn. "Stand down," Commander Tay ordered the security officers. "That's a direct command." The officers hesitated, caught between conflicting authorities. Captain Dak turned to face Commander Tay. "This is an interstellar diplomatic incident now, Commander. Do you really wish to risk war with the Stellar Commonwealth?" "I'm not sure who really represents the Commonwealth," Commander Tay replied. "But I do know that on this base I'm in charge of security. And something about your story doesn't add up." Han saw their chance. While everyone's attention was on the standoff at the door, he subtly moved toward the communications terminal. Nara noticed and followed his lead. "Your loyalty to your friend is admirable," Captain Dak said to Commander Tay. "But misplaced. Engineer Han has been deceived by a clever fugitive." 2 more aliens in military uniforms appeared behind Captain Dak. "We found her ship, Captain," one reported. "The data core was removed." "Of course it was," Captain Dak replied. "Our criminal princess has the evidence she claims will expose us. Where is it, Princess Nara?" Nara stood tall despite her injury. "Safe. And it will reach the Royal Guard, whether I survive or not." Han reached the terminal and quickly began typing commands. He had spent years learning the base's systems, and the communications array was no exception. Now he worked to open a channel on the frequency Nara had specified. Captain Dak noticed the movement. "Stop them!" he shouted, reaching for a weapon. At his side, Commander Tay fired first, hitting one of the alien guards. The human security officers, finally recognizing the truth, drew their weapons and aimed at Captain Dak. "Don't move," one of them ordered. But Captain Dak was faster. The weapon in his hand looked like no gun Han had ever seen. It emitted a pulse of energy that sent Commander Tay and the security officers flying backward into the corridor. The door slid shut, locking automatically due to the security breach. "Now it's just us," Captain Dak said, turning his weapon toward Nara. "My orders were to bring you back alive if possible, but dead will work just as well." June suddenly lunged at Captain Dak, trying to knock the weapon away. The alien was stronger than he looked, easily throwing June aside. But the distraction gave Han the seconds he needed. "Nara," Han called. "The terminal is ready. Send your message." Nara rushed to the terminal as Captain Dak fired his weapon again. The energy pulse hit the central column of the communications array, sending sparks flying. Alarms began to sound throughout the hub. "System damage detected," an automated voice announced. "Backup power engaged." Han saw Captain Dak aim at Nara, who was now typing frantically at the terminal. Without thinking, Han threw himself into the path of the weapon. The energy pulse hit him in the shoulder, spinning him around and sending him crashing into a row of equipment. Pain, unlike anything Han had ever felt, coursed through his body. It was as if every nerve was on fire. He could barely move, barely think through the agony. "Han!" Nara cried out, but she didn't stop her work at the terminal. Captain Dak stepped over Han's fallen body, approaching Nara. "You've lost, Princess. Even if you send your message, help will arrive too late." "Perhaps," Nara agreed, her fingers still moving across the terminal. "But justice will still be done." Han fought through the pain, forcing his body to move. His right arm was useless, but his left could still function. He reached up to a control panel on the wall beside him and punched in an emergency code. Immediately, the hub's fire suppression system activated. Not water, that would be too dangerous with all the electronics, but a dense gas that would smother any flame. The room began to fill with white fog. Captain Dak spun around, momentarily disoriented by the sudden change. Han used the distraction to grab a heavy tool from his belt with his left hand. With all his remaining strength, he hurled it at the alien's weapon. The tool struck true, knocking the weapon from Captain Dak's hand. It skittered across the floor and came to rest near June, who was just regaining his feet. June grabbed the weapon, pointing it uncertainly at Captain Dak. "Don't move," June said, mimicking the security officer from earlier. Captain Dak laughed. "You don't even know how to use that." "Maybe not," June admitted. "But I'm willing to press every button until I find out." The gas was now thick in the room, making it hard to see more than a few feet in any direction. Han pulled himself up, every movement sending waves of pain through his body. He stumbled to the terminal where Nara stood. "Is it sent?" he asked through gritted teeth. "Yes," she said, relief in her voice. "The Royal Guard received our coordinates. They're already in your solar system searching for me. They'll be here within hours." A crash from across the room told them Captain Dak was making a move. June cried out, and there was the sound of a struggle. "We need to get out," Han said, leaning heavily against the terminal. "The gas will clear soon." Nara looked at his wounded shoulder with concern. "You're badly hurt." "Still able to move," Han insisted, though in truth he wasn't sure how much longer he could remain conscious. The maintenance access panel they had used to enter the hub was their only hope of escape. Han pointed to it, and Nara helped support him as they moved through the thinning gas. Behind them, the sounds of fighting continued. June was giving Captain Dak more trouble than the alien had expected. They reached the access panel, and Nara pulled it open. Han practically fell through the opening, Nara following close behind. She sealed the panel just as a blast of energy hit it from the other side, leaving a scorched mark on the metal. "Captain Dak got his weapon back," Nara said, grimly. "June," Han gasped, worried for his friend. "We can't help him now," Nara said, though her voice was full of regret. "We need to get you to Dr. Lee." The maintenance tunnel seemed to swim before Han's eyes. The pain was overwhelming, and darkness crept in at the edges of his vision. But he forced himself to keep moving, one agonizing step after another. "Why?" Han managed to ask as they moved through the tunnel. "Why did you risk yourself for me?" Nara supported him, her strength surprising for her size. "For the same reason you helped me, I think. It was the right thing to do." A small smile crossed Han's face despite the pain, then the darkness closed in and he knew no more. When Han awoke, he was in Dr. Lee's private medical room. The doctor stood over him, concern on her face. "Don't try to move," she said. "The weapon caused severe nerve damage. I've treated it as best I can." "Nara?" Han asked, his voice a whisper. "Safe," Dr. Lee assured him. "Commander Tay recovered and is helping keep her hidden. Your friend June is alive too, though injured. The message?" "Got through," Dr. Lee said with a smile. "Royal Guard ships will arrive within the hour. Captain Dak and his team are being contained by base security, now that Director Kim finally saw through their lies." Han closed his eyes, relief washing over him. They had done it. They had saved the princess and exposed the traitors. But as the pain medication Dr. Lee had given him took effect, one thought formed in his mind. His life on the lunar base was over. Once the Royal Guard arrived, once the truth was known, nothing would be the same. He would be recognized, celebrated, pulled into the spotlight. Everything he had come to the moon to avoid. Unless... A plan began to form in Han's mind as he drifted back to sleep. A way to finish what he had started, yet remain in the shadows where he belonged. The Royal Guard arrived exactly as Nara had promised. 3 large ships entered lunar orbit, their design similar to Nara's small craft, but much more impressive. They dwarfed the traitors' vessels, which quickly surrendered when surrounded. Han watched the ships from the small window in Dr. Lee's medical room. His shoulder still burned with pain, but he could move again. Dr. Lee had told him he was lucky. The weapon had been set to stun rather than kill. Even so, the recovery would take time. "They're sending a shuttle down," Dr. Lee said, checking her tablet. "Director Kim is organizing a formal welcome in the main hangar." Han nodded but said nothing. His plan was taking shape in his mind. He needed to act quickly, before the Royal Guard reached the base. "I need your help," he finally said to Dr. Lee. "Of course," she replied. "What do you need?" "Transfer papers. Deep space mining operation. Effective immediately." Dr. Lee looked surprised. "You're leaving? But Han, you'll be a hero when they learn what you did." "Don't want to be a hero," Han said simply. "Just want peace." Understanding dawned on Dr. Lee's face. "You came to the moon to escape attention." Han nodded. "And now you'll be at the center of an interstellar incident," she finished. "I understand, but..." She hesitated. "What about Nara?" Something flickered in Han's eyes, a brief moment of emotion quickly hidden. "Better this way, for everyone." Dr. Lee sighed but nodded. "I'll see what I can do." While Dr. Lee went to arrange his transfer, Han carefully got to his feet. His body protested, but he ignored the pain. From his pocket, he took Nara's pendant, the royal seal she had given him to hold while Dr. Lee treated her wound. He placed it on the bed where she would find it. Then, moving slowly but purposefully, Han made his way through the back exit of the medical room. The base was in chaos with the arrival of the Royal Guard. No one noticed a wounded maintenance engineer making his way to the personnel office. When he arrived, he found the paperwork already processed in the system. Dr. Lee had been efficient. His transfer to Deep Space Mining Operation 12 on the far side of Mars was approved. A transport would leave in 30 minutes. Han gathered his few belongings from his quarters. He took only what was necessary: clothes, tools, a few personal items. Everything fit in a single bag. As he prepared to leave, his tablet beeped with a message from Commander Tay. "The Royal Guard is asking for you." Nara told them everything. "Where are you?" Han didn't reply. He shut off the tablet and slipped it into his bag. Then he made his way to the transport bay, keeping to the maintenance tunnels to avoid being seen. The transport was a small, utilitarian vessel used to ferry personnel between Earth's colonies. The pilot was already preparing for departure when Han arrived. "Engineer Han," the pilot asked, checking his manifest. "You're my only passenger to DSM-012. Cutting it close. We leave in 5 minutes." Han nodded and boarded the transport, taking a seat near the back. Through the viewport, he could see the Royal Guard shuttle landing in the main hangar. Soon they would learn he was gone. As the transport's engines hummed to life, Han closed his eyes. He had done what needed to be done. Nara was safe. The traitors were captured. His part in the story was over. The transport lifted off, leaving the lunar base behind. 3 months later, Han was working deep in the mining tunnels of DSMO-12. The operation extracted rare minerals from the Martian subsurface, dangerous work that paid well but attracted few volunteers. It suited Han perfectly. Hard physical labor that left little time for thinking, and co-workers who respected privacy and asked few questions. His shoulder still ached sometimes, a reminder of his encounter with alien technology. Dr. Lee sent occasional messages, keeping him informed of events at the lunar base. The Stellar Commonwealth had established formal diplomatic relations with Earth. The traitors had been tried and imprisoned, and Princess Nara had been appointed as the Commonwealth's official ambassador to Earth. Han read these messages but never replied. It was better this way. He had returned to anonymity, to the quiet life he preferred. Yet sometimes, in the quiet, moments before sleep, he found himself thinking of violet eyes and silver hair that shimmered with colors. One evening, after a long shift in the tunnels, Han returned to his small quarters to find a package waiting for him. No sender was listed. Curious, he opened it carefully. Inside was a small device unlike any human technology. When he touched it, it projected a hologram, a three-dimensional image of Nara, now dressed in formal diplomatic attire, but with the same gentle expression he remembered. Han, the hologram said, I hope this message finds you well. It took some effort to track you down. You covered your tracks well, but the Royal Guard has resources even you couldn't anticipate. The hologram smiled, and Han found himself smiling back despite himself. I wanted to thank you properly for what you did, the hologram continued. You saved not just my life, but potentially the peace of the Commonwealth. The evidence I carried exposed the full conspiracy. My father sends his personal gratitude. Han sat on his bed, watching the hologram as it spoke. Earth has been told the story of a brave human who rescued an alien princess and helped prevent an interstellar incident, but I've respected your wish for anonymity. No one knows your name or has seen your face except those who were there that day. The hologram's expression became more serious. I understand why you left. Some souls prefer the quiet places, away from attention and praise. I respect that. But I wanted you to know that your actions have changed the course of history. The alliance between Earth and the Commonwealth will benefit billions of lives across our worlds. Han felt something in his chest, a warmth he hadn't experienced in a long time. This device contains something else, the hologram said. A royal token. It marks you as a friend of the Commonwealth royal family. It grants no obligations, only privileges, should you ever wish to use them. You need only activate it, and help will come. The hologram paused, then added more softly, or I will come if you wish it. The image flickered slightly as if Nara was hesitating. I hope someday you'll change your mind about staying hidden. But until then, know that your deeds are remembered and honored, even if your name remains unspoken in the official histories. Beat. Hologram raised a hand in farewell. May your stars shine brightly, Han of Earth. The image faded, leaving Han alone in his quarters. He picked up the small token that had appeared when the hologram ended, a medallion similar to the royal seal he had returned to Nara, but smaller and marked with symbols he didn't recognize. Han turned it over in his hands, feeling its weight. Then he carefully placed it in a small box where he kept his few treasured possessions. He didn't activate it, not that day, nor in the days that followed. But he didn't discard it either. Han returned to his work in the mines, to the quiet life he had chosen. To most of the galaxy, he remained unknown. The anonymous human who had saved an alien princess, and then vanished without taking credit or glory. But now, in the quiet moments before sleep, when he thought of violet eyes and shimmering silver hair, he also thought of the token in its box, and of possibilities he had never before considered. Some heroes are remembered in statues and stories. Others live quietly, carrying their deeds in private, finding meaning not in recognition but in knowing they did what was right. Han was content to be the latter kind. For now.